I remember writing this paper, this poem. We actually had to write a poem for class. And I wrote about the Holocaust. And I have Jewish relatives. I had my Uncle John came over from Russia in a dresser drawer as a baby. And because they were being persecuted. And, you know, there were people that they knew that died. And I wrote this poem, and there was like a part of me that always, I think, wrote just like just my mind, like I just always felt deep pain for them. And I wrote this poem that was like my soul on a page. And I handed it to this teacher, Mr. McKee, I think. And I said, "What do you think?" And I was like, all this expectation of like, he's going to say it's good, or he's going to encourage me or tell me how to do it better. And all he did was underline in red punctuation errors and handed it back to me and was just like, you know, learn how to use a comma. I was like, all right, I'm going to go kill myself. Like, it was just very invalidating.
Yeah.
And it was a real opportunity that, and you know, no judgment on him, whatever. He is who he was, and he was doing what he was doing. But it was just, when I see the same kid, because I think God makes us who we needed a little bit. It's just like a treasure to me. It's like, wow, like I really want to absorb this. Like, it reminds me of like Japanese people, when you give them a business card, will like study it for like an hour because they want you to know that they value it.
Mm.
And like, that's how I am when a kid draws me a picture or writes me a poem or, you know, whatever it is.
Mm. Well, what about people who've not had as serious of trauma or as much trauma, who want to be in the trauma world? How do we integrate ourselves into that? How do we relate to people who we haven't had experiences like they have?
I think that's a deep question. Like, I think like a couple things. I don't think you need to have had a heart attack to be a heart surgeon.
Mm.
I don't think you need to have been an addict to help addicts, or need to have been horribly abused to help abused people. But I think a couple things have to come first. I think you have to have the right heart. I think that you can't look at someone from an up-down level. It can't be, I'm here to help the poor, broken, disgusting people. It has to be, we're on level. And that's one of the things that really helped me in going through like the 12-step program stuff. My sponsor would say to me, the guy that's now not in the back of the room that has fresh needle marks, God can use him to say something tonight. And if you discount what he's saying, then you missed your blessing. And the person that's done everything that you've never done, that in your addiction you judged, well, they can be burying you. They can be sober, consoling your family. We're not better than each other. So I think approaching it from a we're all on equal terms level is really important. And learning about it and asking, it's hard because like if you haven't been traumatized, or even if you have, sometimes we can bring on the other person's pain and not know what to do with it. So we need to learn how to deal with seeing suffering and experiencing it in a palpable way. And that's hard, you know, and I think that's something that training helps, you know, using your own tools and skills, having supervision. I think that's really important. But I think if somebody has etched inside themselves what it's like to cope with suffering, if they have a place for how to relate to it, and they bring God into it and community into it, if they know what to do with it, then I think anybody can help someone. I just think when you first look at it, you know, in World War II, um, a lot of the guys, my uncle was one of them, that liberated the concentration camps became atheists because they looked at stark suffering and human evil, dead in the face, and they didn't have a place for it. You know, what do you do with that? And I think the one thing that I had that is a benefit of having had your own recovery from that is that you have a worldview that it doesn't destroy your concepts. It doesn't destroy your sense of who God is or who you are or how the world functions. And I think if somebody can learn how to cope with it and learn how to relate to it in a healthy way, it's never easy. You know, it never becomes like, I still hurt over it, but I know how to relate to it.
Yeah, I was just thinking as you were talking, I was wondering if you have ever, if there's still times where you would be re-traumatized or you would re-experience trauma that you had in the past, and how, I mean, now that you're a Christian, I'm guessing that you're able to cope with it better than before, or I don't know. Tell me about that.
Yeah, no, tonight I'm going to a meeting. I haven't gone to a meeting in a while. I mainly get my nourishment from church and from the Bible and from friends. But it might sound crazy, but the Robin Williams thing, like, because I know his story. You know, he was clean for 25 years, and he was somebody that I looked like that. I don't know, that I looked to as like somebody I could relate to. You know, laughter is like a mechanism for me. And when I found out that he committed suicide, more than likely, it just brought up some stuff because I easily could have been him. And then it really bothered me that you could click on a webcam and watch his house. And I just felt so badly for his family that they wouldn't be allowed to just suffer, but that they had to have people make a spectacle of them. So it bugged me. I wrote some poems last night. Today I'm going to have a meeting and just talk a little bit. So yeah, even though that's just something I saw on TV, it did traumatize me.